Climate change and its socioeconomic and political dimensions. ChatGPT said. Climate change and its socioeconomic and political dimensions. Climate change refers to long-term changes in temperature, precipitation patterns, and other atmospheric conditions, primarily driven by human activities such as deforestation, burning fossil fuels, and industrial processes. Its impacts are far-reaching, affecting not only the environment but also socioeconomic structures and political dynamics worldwide. Understanding the socioeconomic and political dimensions of climate change is crucial for developing effective policies and strategies to mitigate and adapt to its effects. Socioeconomic dimensions of climate change impacts on human health. Climate change directly and indirectly affects human health, exacerbating existing health issues and creating new challenges. For example, heat waves can cause heat stroke, dehydration, and increase the frequency of cardiovascular and respiratory diseases. Changes in weather patterns also lead to the spread of vector-borne diseases like malaria and dengue, as warmer temperatures expand the habitats of mosquitoes. Additionally, extreme weather events such as floods and storms cause injuries, deaths, and displacement, particularly in vulnerable populations. Food security. Climate change poses a significant threat to global food security. Rising temperatures, shifting precipitation patterns, and extreme weather events such as droughts and floods can reduce agricultural productivity, especially in developing regions that rely heavily on agriculture. Changes in crop yields, along with disruptions to the availability of water resources for irrigation, lead to food shortages, price increases, and hunger. This impacts the poorest and most vulnerable populations, exacerbating inequality and contributing to socioeconomic instability. Water scarcity. Water resources are being increasingly stressed due to climate change, especially in arid and semi-arid regions. Changes in precipitation patterns, along with the melting of glaciers, disrupt water availability for drinking, agriculture, and industry. Water scarcity can lead to conflicts over resources, migration, and social unrest, particularly in areas where water is already scarce or unevenly distributed. Access to clean water is a fundamental human right, and climate-induced water shortages exacerbate poverty and inequality. Economic losses. The economic costs of climate change are vast and multifaceted. Extreme weather events such as hurricanes, floods, and wildfires cause damage to infrastructure, homes, and industries, resulting in billions of dollars in losses. Sectors such as agriculture, tourism, and fisheries are highly vulnerable to climate change, which affects livelihoods and economic stability in many countries. Developing economies, especially those dependent on agriculture and natural resources, face greater challenges in coping with the economic impacts of climate change. Migration and displacement. Climate change is a significant driver of migration, with millions of people being displaced due to sea level rise, droughts, and extreme weather events. Coastal communities and low-lying islands are particularly at risk of losing their homes to rising seas, while arid regions face desertification and water shortages, forcing people to move in search of better living conditions. Climate-induced displacement puts additional strain on urban infrastructure, social services, and can lead to tensions between migrants and host communities. Inequality and poverty. Climate change disproportionately affects vulnerable populations, particularly those living in poverty, women, children, and indigenous communities. These groups often have limited resources to adapt to climate change and are more likely to suffer from its impacts. Vulnerability to climate change is closely linked to social and economic inequality, and addressing these disparities is key to ensuring a just and equitable response to climate change. Political dimensions of climate change, international agreements and cooperation. Climate change is a global issue that requires coordinated international efforts to mitigate and adapt to its impacts. Key international agreements like the Paris Agreement 2015 have sought to unite countries in the fight against climate change by setting targets for reducing greenhouse gas emissions and promoting sustainable development. The agreement aims to limit global temperature rise to well below 2 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels, with efforts to limit it to 1.5 degrees Celsius. However, political challenges remain in terms of ensuring compliance, securing financial resources for developing countries, and addressing the divergent interests of nations. Climate justice and equity. Climate justice emphasizes the need for a fair and equitable approach to addressing climate change. It acknowledges that developed countries, which have historically contributed the most to greenhouse gas emissions, have a greater responsibility in mitigating climate change and supporting adaptation in developing nations. The issue of climate finance, where wealthier countries provide financial support to vulnerable nations for mitigation and adaptation, is central to the climate justice debate. Political debates around the allocation of responsibility and resources often create tensions between developed and developing nations. National policies and political will. At the national level, governments play a critical role in shaping climate policies and taking action to address climate change. National policies can include measures to reduce emissions, promote renewable energy, enhance energy efficiency, protect forests, and support climate adaptation. However, political will and leadership are essential for the implementation of these policies. In many cases, political leaders are hesitant to take bold actions due to concerns about economic growth, job losses in carbon-intensive industries, and resistance from powerful interest groups, such as fossil fuel companies. Climate change and national security. Climate change has emerged as a significant threat to national security, with the potential to cause conflicts over resources, trigger mass migrations, and destabilize regions. Military and security experts have recognized that climate-induced disruptions, such as food and water shortages or natural disasters, can exacerbate social tensions and contribute to the outbreak of violence and conflict. Governments must consider climate change as part of their national security strategies and collaborate with international partners to address the risks posed by a changing climate. Corporate and industrial influence. Corporations and industries, particularly those in fossil fuel sectors, have significant political influence and have been historically resistant to climate action. Powerful lobbying groups often oppose policies aimed at reducing emissions, fearing that these measures will harm their profits. As climate change gains prominence on the political agenda, the role of corporations in shaping policy becomes a contentious issue. Balancing the interests of business with the need for environmental protection is a central challenge in the political response to climate change. Public awareness and mobilization. Public awareness and activism have become key drivers of political change regarding climate action. Social movements like Fridays for Future and youth-led campaigns have mobilized millions of people around the world to demand stronger political action on climate change. Public pressure has influenced governments to take more ambitious actions, such as committing to net zero emissions targets and transitioning to clean energy. Climate change is increasingly seen not only as an environmental issue but also as a moral and social issue that requires political action at all levels. Previous year questions. Question: which of the following is a primary socioeconomic impact of climate change? A. Increase in biodiversity. B. Food insecurity. C. Improve public health. D. Increase in energy consumption. Answer: B. Food insecurity. Year 2018. Question: the Paris Agreement aims to limit global warming to which of the following sectors? Question: the Paris Agreement aims to limit global warming to which of the following temperatures? A. 3 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels. B. 2 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels. C. 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels. D. 5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels. Answer: B. 2 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels. Year 2020. Question: which of the following international policies primarily focuses on climate justice? A. Kyoto Protocol. B. Paris Agreement. C. Montreal Protocol. D. Convention on Biological Diversity. Answer: B. Paris Agreement. Year 2021. Question: climate-induced displacement of people is mainly driven by which of the following factors? A. Economic opportunities. B. Rising sea levels and extreme weather events. C. Increased political stability. D. Technological advancements. Answer: B. Rising sea levels and extreme weather events. Year 2019. Question: which of the following is considered a political barrier to effective climate change mitigation? A. Public demand for green technology. B. Political will and economic interests. C. Scientific evidence supporting climate action. D. Global consensus on carbon emissions. Answer: B. Political will and economic interests. Year 2022. In conclusion, climate change is not only an environmental challenge but also a complex socioeconomic and political issue. Its impacts are felt across all sectors of society, and addressing it requires coordinated global efforts, robust national policies, and active public participation. The socioeconomic implications of climate change demand urgent action to reduce vulnerabilities and promote adaptation, while the political landscape must evolve to ensure a fair, just, and equitable approach to combating climate change. You said. Impacts of pollutants on human health. ChatGPT said. Impacts of pollutants on human health. Pollutants are substances that contaminate the environment and can cause various harmful effects on human health. These pollutants can originate from natural sources, such as volcanic eruptions and wildfires, or anthropogenic activities, such as industrial processes, transportation, agriculture, and waste disposal. The most common pollutants that affect human health include air, water, soil, and noise pollutants. Exposure to these pollutants can lead to acute or chronic health problems, ranging from respiratory diseases to cancers and neurological disorders. Understanding the impacts of pollutants on human health is crucial for developing effective public health strategies and environmental policies. 1. Air pollution and human health. Air pollution is one of the most significant environmental health risks. It is primarily caused by the release of harmful gases, particulate matter, and chemicals into the atmosphere from industrial emissions, vehicle exhaust, and the burning of fossil fuels. Respiratory diseases. Exposure to air pollutants, especially fine particulate matter PM2.5 ozone, and nitrogen dioxide, can irritate the respiratory system, leading to conditions such as asthma, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, COPD, bronchitis, and emphysema. These diseases are especially prevalent in urban areas with high levels of vehicular and industrial emissions. Cardiovascular impacts. Long-term exposure to air pollution is linked to an increased risk of heart attacks, stroke, and hypertension. Pollutants such as particulate matter and carbon monoxide can contribute to the buildup of plaque in blood vessels, leading to cardiovascular diseases. Cancer. Prolonged exposure to certain air pollutants, like benzene and formaldehyde, has been associated with an increased risk of lung cancer. Studies have shown that populations living in areas with high levels of air pollution have a higher incidence of various cancers, including respiratory and skin cancers. Neurological effects. Emerging research suggests that air pollution can also affect the brain, leading to cognitive decline, memory loss, and increased risk of neurodevelopmental disorders in children. Pollutants like lead, for example, can impair brain development in children, resulting in learning disabilities and behavioral problems. Premature death. According to the World Health Organization (WHO), air pollution is responsible for millions of premature deaths each year, largely due to its effects on the heart and lungs. 2. Water pollution and human health. Water pollution occurs when harmful substances contaminate bodies of water, making them unsafe for drinking, bathing, or other uses. Pollutants include heavy metals, pesticides, industrial chemicals, sewage, and pathogens. Waterborne diseases. Polluted water, especially from untreated sewage and contaminated water sources, can spread diseases like cholera, dysentery, typhoid fever, and hepatitis. Pathogens in water can cause gastrointestinal problems, dehydration, and in severe cases, death, particularly in regions with poor sanitation. Chemical contamination. Exposure to toxic chemicals such as mercury, lead, and pesticides through contaminated drinking water can lead to a variety of health problems. Lead poisoning, for example, can cause neurological damage, kidney failure, and developmental delays in children. Mercury exposure is associated with neurological disorders and can have detrimental effects on fetal development. Endocrine disruption. Water pollutants, including some industrial chemicals and pesticides, can act as endocrine disruptors. These chemicals interfere with the normal functioning of hormones in the body, leading to reproductive and developmental issues, and have been linked to conditions such as infertility, birth defects, and cancers of the reproductive system. Cancer. Long-term exposure to chemicals like arsenic and benzene, often found in contaminated water, can increase the risk of cancer, particularly in the bladder, lungs, skin, and liver. 3. Soil pollution and human health. Soil pollution is the contamination of the soil by harmful chemicals, waste products, and other toxic substances. This pollution is primarily caused by industrial activities, agricultural runoff, and improper waste disposal. Food contamination. Polluted soil can lead to the contamination of crops, which, when consumed, introduce harmful chemicals such as pesticides, heavy metals e.g., lead, cadmium, and toxins into the human body. These substances can accumulate over time and cause a variety of health problems, including poisoning, neurological disorders, and cancer. Toxic exposure. Direct contact with polluted soil, such as through skin contact, can lead to toxic exposure. Certain chemicals found in contaminated soil, such as heavy metals and solvents, can be absorbed through the skin and enter the bloodstream, causing poisoning and damage to internal organs, particularly the liver and kidneys. Reproductive and developmental issues. Exposure to soil pollutants like pesticides and heavy metals has been linked to reproductive problems, including birth defects, infertility, and developmental delays in children. These pollutants disrupt hormonal and cellular functions, leading to long-term health complications. 4. Noise pollution and human health. Noise pollution is defined as harmful or disruptive sound, usually from urban environments, transportation, industrial activities, and human activities. It can have profound effects on physical and mental health. Hearing loss. Chronic exposure to high levels of noise, particularly from loud machinery or traffic, can lead to permanent hearing loss. This is particularly a concern in areas with high noise pollution, such as near airports, industrial zones, and major roadways. Cardiovascular diseases. Studies have shown that prolonged exposure to noise pollution can lead to increased blood pressure, heart disease, and stroke. Noise stress can elevate cortisol levels, a stress hormone, which can contribute to the development of cardiovascular conditions. Sleep disturbances. Noise pollution is a significant cause of sleep disturbances, which can lead to chronic fatigue, anxiety, depression, and a weakened immune system. Inadequate sleep has been associated with a range of health problems, including obesity, diabetes, and cardiovascular diseases. Mental health impacts. Constant exposure to loud and disturbing noises can lead to mental health issues such as stress, anxiety, and depression. Chronic noise pollution has also been linked to cognitive impairment and behavioral problems in children, particularly in areas near high traffic zones. 5. Electronic waste. E-waste pollution and human health. E-waste, or electronic waste, refers to discarded electronic devices like computers, phones, televisions, and other household appliances. Improper disposal and recycling of e-waste can lead to harmful exposure to heavy metals and toxic chemicals. Chemical exposure. E-waste contains substances like lead, mercury, cadmium, and brominated flame retardants, which, when improperly handled, can contaminate air, water, and soil. These chemicals can cause neurological damage, kidney damage, and respiratory issues in individuals exposed to them. Cancer. Prolonged exposure to chemicals in e-waste has been linked to an increased risk of cancers, particularly lung, skin, and brain cancers. Workers in e-waste recycling facilities are especially vulnerable to these health risks due to direct exposure to harmful chemicals. Endocrine disruption. Certain chemicals in e-waste, such as phthalate and bisphenol A (BPA), can act as endocrine disruptors, leading to reproductive health issues and developmental disorders. Previous year questions. Question. Which of the following pollutants is most commonly linked to respiratory diseases like asthma and COPD? A. Carbon monoxide. B. Sulfur dioxide. C. Particulate matter PM2.5. D. Nitrogen oxides. Answer. C. Particulate matter PM2.5. Year 2019. Question. Long-term exposure to which of the following heavy metals is most likely to cause neurological damage? A. Lead. B. Zinc. C. Copper. D. Iron. Answer. A. Lead. Year 2020. Question. Which of the following diseases is most commonly associated with contaminated water? A. Tuberculosis. B. Cholera. C. Malaria. D. Hepatitis B. Answer. B. Cholera. Year 2018. Question. Which of the following pollutants is responsible for causing loss? A. Airborne particulate matter. B. Waterborne pathogens. C. Noise pollution. D. Soil contaminants. Answer. C. Noise pollution. Year 2021. Question. What is the primary human health risk associated with electronic waste? E-waste. A. Skin diseases. B. Cancer. C. Respiratory diseases. D. Neurological damage. Answer. B. Cancer year, 2022. In conclusion, pollutants significantly affect human health across multiple dimensions. The exposure to air, water, soil, noise, and e-waste pollutants can lead to a wide range of diseases, including respiratory and cardiovascular conditions, cancer, neurological disorders, and developmental issues. Understanding these health impacts emphasizes the need for stronger regulations and effective environmental management practices to protect human health. You said. Natural and energy resources. ChatGPT said. Natural and energy resources. Natural and energy resources are fundamental to human survival, economic development, and the functioning of modern society. These resources are provided by the earth and can be classified into renewable and non-renewable categories. The exploitation, management, and conservation of these resources are essential for sustainable development and ensuring the long-term health. The exploitation, management, and conservation of these resources are essential for sustainable development and ensuring the long-term health of ecosystems and human communities. 1. Natural resources. Natural resources refer to the raw materials and resources that are obtained directly from the earth and are utilized for various human activities. These resources can be broadly categorized into two groups: renewable and non-renewable. Renewable resources. These are resources that can be naturally replenished on a human timescale, such as sunlight, wind, geothermal energy, and biomass. Renewable resources are sustainable as they can regenerate through natural processes, provided they are managed responsibly. Water. Water is a renewable resource that plays a critical role in human survival in agricultural, industrial, and domestic uses. However, water resources are limited, and overuse or pollution can lead to scarcity. Forests. Forests are essential for carbon sequestration, biodiversity conservation, and providing raw materials like timber. Sustainable forest management ensures that forests regenerate and continue to provide ecological and economic services. Fisheries, oceans, rivers, and lakes provide a renewable resource in the form of fish and other aquatic organisms. Overfishing, however, can deplete fish stocks and threaten marine biodiversity. Solar and wind energy. These are inexhaustible resources that can generate energy without polluting the environment. Solar panels and wind turbines convert natural energy into electricity, contributing to the reduction of greenhouse gas emissions. Non-renewable resources. These are finite resources that cannot be replenished within a human lifetime. Once depleted, they are gone forever, making their sustainable management critical. Fossil fuels. These include coal, oil, and natural gas, which have been formed over millions of years through the decomposition of ancient plant and animal matter. Fossil fuels are used for electricity generation, heating, and transportation. However, their extraction and use contribute to environmental pollution, climate change, and depletion of resources. Minerals, metals such as iron, copper, gold, and aluminum, and non-metals such as salt are extracted from the earth to manufacture products and infrastructure. Mining activities can cause soil erosion, habitat destruction, and pollution if not managed sustainably. 2. Energy resources. Energy resources are. However, their extraction and use Fossil fuels. These include coal, oil, and natural gas, which have been formed over millions of years through the decomposition of ancient plant and animal matter. Fossil fuels are used for electricity generation, heating, and transportation. However, their extraction and use contribute to environmental pollution, climate change, and depletion of resources. Minerals, metals such as iron, copper, gold, and aluminum, and non-metals such as salt are extracted from the earth to manufacture products and infrastructure. Mining activities can cause soil erosion, habitat destruction, and pollution if not managed sustainably. 2. Energy resources. Energy resources are essential for powering human activities, from industrial processes to household heating. Energy resources can be broadly divided into renewable and non-renewable categories based on their sustainability and environmental impact. Renewable energy resources. Solar energy. Solar energy is harnessed through photovoltaic cells and solar thermal systems. It is a clean, abundant, and renewable source of energy that reduces reliance on fossil fuels and contributes to mitigating climate change. Wind energy. Wind turbines convert the kinetic energy of wind into electricity. Wind power is one of the fastest growing renewable energy sources and has minimal environmental impact compared to fossil fuels. Hydropower. Hydroelectric power generation uses water flow to produce electricity. Large dams or river-based turbines convert the energy of flowing water into electricity. While it is a renewable energy source, large-scale hydropower projects can have significant environmental and social impacts, such as habitat destruction and displacement of communities. Biomass. Biomass refers to organic materials such as wood, crop residues, and animal waste that can be burned to produce energy or converted into biofuels. Biomass is a renewable energy resource, but its sustainability. Fossil fuels. These include coal, oil, and natural gas, which have been formed over millions of years through the decomposition of ancient plant and animal matter. Fossil fuels are used for electricity generation, heating, and transportation. However, their extraction and use contribute to environmental pollution, climate change, and depletion of resources. Minerals, metals such as iron, copper, gold, and aluminum, and non-metals such as salt are extracted from the earth to manufacture products and infrastructure. Mining activities can cause soil erosion, habitat destruction, and pollution if not managed sustainably. 2. Energy resources. Energy resources are essential for powering human activities, from industrial processes to household heating. Energy resources can be broadly divided into renewable and non-renewable categories based on their sustainability and environmental impact. Renewable energy resources. Solar energy. Solar energy is harnessed through photovoltaic cells and solar thermal systems. It is a clean, abundant, and renewable source of energy that reduces reliance on fossil fuels and contributes to mitigating climate change. Wind energy. Wind turbines convert the kinetic energy of wind into electricity. Wind power is one of the fastest growing renewable energy sources and has minimal environmental impact compared to fossil fuels. Hydropower. Hydroelectric power generation uses water flow to produce electricity. Large dams or river-based turbines convert the energy of flowing water into electricity. While it is a renewable energy source, large-scale hydropower projects can have significant environmental and social impacts, such as habitat destruction and displacement of communities. Biomass. Biomass refers to organic materials such as wood, crop residues, and animal waste that can be burned to produce energy or converted into biofuels. Biomass is a renewable energy resource, but its sustainability depends on the scale of production and the land use changes associated with its cultivation. Geothermal energy. This energy is derived from the heat stored beneath the Earth's surface. Geothermal power plants use steam from hot water reservoirs to generate electricity. This form of energy is highly sustainable and has a low environmental impact when managed properly. Non-renewable energy resources. Coal. Coal is a fossil fuel that has been historically used to generate electricity and power industries. However, it is one of the largest sources of carbon emissions, contributing to air pollution and climate change. As the world shifts toward cleaner energy sources, coal use is declining. Oil, extracted from deep underground reservoirs, is used to fuel transportation and generate electricity. It is a non-renewable resource that has significant environmental impacts, including air pollution, oil spills, and greenhouse gas emissions. Oil reserves are also becoming increasingly difficult and expensive to extract. Natural gas. Natural gas is a cleaner burning fossil fuel compared to coal and oil and is used for electricity generation, heating, and cooking. While it emits fewer pollutants, its extraction, particularly through hydraulic fracking, can cause water contamination and induce seismic activity. 3. Sustainable management of natural and energy resources. The sustainable use and management of natural and energy resources are essential to ensure that they are available for future generations. Sustainable practices aim to minimize the depletion of resources, reduce environmental impacts, and promote social equity. Conservation of biodiversity. Protecting natural habitats, promoting sustainable agriculture and forestry practices, and reducing pollution can help conserve biodiversity, ensuring the continued provision of ecosystem services like clean water and soil fertility. Energy efficiency. Increasing energy efficiency in industries, transportation, and households can reduce the demand for energy resources. Technologies such as energy-efficient appliances, electric vehicles, and advanced industrial processes contribute to reducing the consumption of non-renewable energy resources. Transition to renewable energy. Shifting from fossil fuels to renewable energy sources is a critical step in reducing greenhouse gas emissions and mitigating climate change. Governments and industries are investing in renewable energy infrastructure to meet energy demands while minimizing environmental harm. Recycling and circular economy. Promoting recycling, reusing materials, and reducing waste can help reduce the need for raw materials and energy resources. A circular economy encourages the design of products that can be reused or recycled, reducing resource consumption and waste generation. 4. Impacts of resource depletion. The depletion of natural and energy resources has significant consequences for both the environment and human society. The extraction and overconsumption of resources can lead to environmental degradation. Overextraction of natural resources, such as deforestation and mining, can lead to habitat destruction, soil erosion, and loss of biodiversity. Climate change. The burning of fossil fuels releases greenhouse gases, contributing to global warming and climate change. The impacts of climate change, such as rising sea levels, extreme weather events, and changing agricultural patterns, can have devastating effects on communities and ecosystems. Social inequality. Resource depletion can lead to inequality, as the depletion of resources affects marginalized communities the most. Access to clean water, energy, and food may become increasingly unequal, exacerbating poverty and social conflict. Previous year questions. Question. Which of the following is considered a renewable energy resource? A. Coal. B. Natural gas. C. Wind. D. Oil. Answer. C. Wind. Year 2020. Question. Which of the following is not a major environmental issue related to the overuse of natural resources? A. Soil erosion. B. Global warming. C. Desertification. D. Global cooling. Answer. D. Global cooling. Year 2019. Question. Which energy resource is most responsible for contributing to greenhouse gas emissions? A. Wind energy. Answer. C. Wind. Year 2020. Question. Which B. Global warming. C. Desertification. Question. Which of the following is considered a renewable energy resource? A. Coal. Question. Which of the following is considered a renewable energy resource? A. Coal. B. Natural gas. C. Wind. D. Oil. Answer. C. Wind. Year 2020. Question. Which of the following is not a major environmental issue related to the overuse of natural resources? A. Soil erosion. B. Global warming. C. Desertification. D. Global cooling. Answer. D. Global cooling. Year 2019. Question. Which energy resource is most responsible for contributing to greenhouse gas emissions? A. Wind energy. B. Coal. C. Solar energy. D. Geothermal energy. Answer. B. Coal. Year 2021. Question. What is the major environmental impact of the use of fossil fuels? A. Ozone depletion. B. Global warming. C. Deforestation. D. Acid rain. Answer. B. Global warming. Year 2022. Question. Which of the following is a non-renewable resource? A. Solar energy. B. Wind energy. C. Coal. D. Biomass. Answer. C. Coal. Year 2020. In conclusion, the sustainable use and management of natural and energy resources are critical for maintaining the balance of ecosystems and ensuring the long-term survival and well-being of humanity. Shifting towards renewable energy, conserving biodiversity, and adopting sustainable practices are essential steps to mitigate the environmental and social impacts of resource depletion. You said, solar. ChatGPT said, solar energy. Solar energy is one of the most important renewable energy resources, harnessed from the sun's radiation. It is abundant, sustainable, and non-polluting, making it an ideal solution for meeting global energy demands while mitigating climate change. Solar energy can be used in various applications, including electricity generation, heating, and even cooling, offering great potential for sustainable development and reducing reliance on fossil fuels. 1. Solar radiation and energy collection. Solar radiation refers to the energy emitted by the sun, which is essential for life on Earth and can be converted into usable forms of energy. The sun's energy reaches Earth in the form of electromagnetic radiation, primarily as visible light, infrared, and ultraviolet rays. The amount of solar energy that reaches the Earth's surface is called solar insolation, and it varies based on geographic location, time of year, and weather conditions. Solar energy can be captured and converted using two primary methods. Photovoltaic PV cells. These cells convert sunlight directly into electricity through the photovoltaic effect. When sunlight hits the semiconductor material of a PV cell, it excites electrons, creating an electric current. PV cells are widely used in solar panels and are most effective in sunny regions. Solar thermal systems. These systems use sunlight to heat water or air, which is then used for domestic heating, industrial processes, or electricity generation. Solar collectors absorb solar radiation, convert it into heat, and transfer this heat to a fluid, which can then be used in various applications. 2. Types of solar energy systems. Photovoltaic solar PV systems. Photovoltaic systems are designed to capture and convert sunlight directly into electricity. These systems typically consist of solar panels made up of numerous solar cells connected together. The electricity generated is either used immediately or stored in batteries for later use. PV systems can be grid-tied, where the excess energy is fed into the electricity grid, or off-grid, where the energy is stored in batteries for use in remote locations. Advantages. Low maintenance. Scalable, from small-scale rooftop installations to large solar farms. Clean energy source with no emissions during operation. Disadvantages. Intermittent energy source only available when the sun is shining. High initial investment cost for installation, although costs have been decreasing. Concentrated solar power (CSP). CSP systems focus sunlight using mirrors or lenses to generate heat, which is then used to produce electricity via a steam turbine or other thermal engines. CSP is typically used in large-scale solar power plants in areas with high solar insolation. Advantages. Can generate electricity even when the sun is not shining by storing thermal energy. Suitable for large-scale utility projects. Disadvantages. Requires large amounts of land. Limited to regions with high direct sunlight. Solar water heating. Solar water heating systems use solar collectors to absorb sunlight and transfer the heat to water, which can be used for domestic or industrial purposes. These systems are commonly used in residential homes to reduce energy consumption for hot water heating. Advantages. Reduces reliance on conventional energy sources. Cost-effective in regions with high solar potential. Disadvantages. Limited to hot water heating applications. Requires installation of appropriate collectors and storage tanks. 3. Advantages of solar energy. Environmental benefits. Solar energy is one of the cleanest sources of power available. It produces no direct air or water pollution during operation, making it environmentally friendly. The widespread adoption of solar energy helps mitigate climate change by reducing reliance on fossil fuels, which emit greenhouse gases when burned. Renewable and sustainable. Solar energy is a renewable resource, meaning it is naturally replenished and will not run out in the foreseeable future. Unlike fossil fuels, solar power does not contribute to resource depletion, making it an infinitely sustainable option. Energy independence. By using solar energy, individuals and communities can reduce their reliance on imported fossil fuels, thus enhancing energy security. Solar energy can be harnessed locally, reducing the need for long-distance energy transportation and minimizing associated losses. Job creation. The solar energy industry has created numerous job opportunities in manufacturing, installation, and maintenance of solar systems. The global transition to renewable energy sources has contributed to the growth of the green energy economy. Low operating costs. Once a solar system is installed, its operating and maintenance costs are relatively low. There are no fuel costs associated with solar energy, and minimal maintenance is required to keep the system running efficiently. 4. Challenges of solar energy. Intermittency. Solar energy is not available 24/7. It depends on the availability of sunlight, which varies throughout the day and is affected by weather conditions. This intermittency requires the integration of energy storage systems or complementary power sources to ensure a continuous supply of energy. High initial cost. Despite declining costs, the installation of solar panels, especially large-scale systems, can be expensive. The upfront cost of purchasing and installing solar systems can be a barrier to adoption for individuals and organizations, though various government incentives and subsidies help mitigate these costs. Land use. Large-scale solar energy systems, particularly CSP plants, require significant amounts of land. In densely populated areas, finding suitable land for solar farms can be challenging, and land use conflicts may arise. Energy storage. To manage the intermittent nature of solar energy, effective energy storage systems, such as batteries, are required. However, energy storage technology is still developing, and high-quality batteries can be costly and have limited capacity. 5. Solar energy and climate change. Solar energy plays a pivotal role in addressing climate change by reducing greenhouse gas emissions associated with fossil fuel consumption. By shifting towards solar power, countries can significantly reduce their carbon footprints. Solar energy systems do not release carbon dioxide or other pollutants during their operation, making them a key component of a low-carbon energy future. 6. Solar energy in the global context. Countries around the world are increasingly investing in solar energy as part of their efforts to transition to cleaner energy sources. Solar energy is particularly effective in regions with high levels of solar insolation, such as the Middle East, North Africa, and parts of Asia. Governments are offering incentives, subsidies, and tax breaks to encourage the adoption of solar power. The global capacity for solar energy has been growing rapidly, with countries like China, the United States, and India leading the way in solar power installation. Solar energy is expected to continue its growth trajectory as technological advancements improve efficiency and decrease costs. 7. Previous year questions. Question: which of the following is a characteristic of solar photovoltaic cells? A. They convert heat energy into electrical energy. B. They work only in high temperature conditions. C. They convert sunlight directly into electricity. D. They require storage tanks for energy collection. Answer: C. They convert sunlight directly into electricity. Year: 2019. Question: in solar power systems, what is the main function of solar panels? A. Convert sunlight into heat. B. Store electrical energy. C. Convert sunlight into electricity. D. Heat water for domestic use. Answer: C. Convert sunlight into electricity. Year: 2020. Question: which of the following is a major disadvantage of solar energy? A. It produces carbon emissions. B. It is available only during the night. C. It is intermittent and dependent on sunlight availability. D. It requires high water usage. Answer: C. It is intermittent and dependent on sunlight availability. Year: 2021. Question: solar thermal systems are used to A. Convert sunlight into heat for water or space heating. B. Convert sunlight directly into electricity. C. Store energy in batteries. D. Extract geothermal energy. Answer: A. Convert sunlight into heat for water or space heating. Year: 2022. Question: which country is the largest producer of solar energy globally? A. United States. B. Germany. C. China. D. India. Answer: C. China. Year: 2020. In conclusion, solar energy is a highly promising and sustainable energy resource with the potential to significantly reduce reliance on fossil fuels and mitigate climate change. Despite challenges such as intermittency and high initial costs, technological advancements and government support are helping to accelerate the adoption of solar energy globally. You said wind. ChatGPT said wind energy. Wind energy is one of the oldest and most reliable sources of renewable energy, harnessed from the movement of air in the Earth's atmosphere. Wind turbines convert the kinetic energy of moving air into mechanical energy, which can then be transformed into electricity. Wind energy plays a crucial role in the global transition to sustainable energy, providing a clean, renewable alternative to fossil fuels. 1. Basics of wind energy. Wind energy is derived from the wind, caused by the uneven heating of the Earth's surface by the sun. This uneven heating creates air pressure differences, resulting in the movement of air from high pressure areas to low pressure areas. The speed of the wind determines the amount of energy that can be harnessed, with faster winds providing more energy. The primary way to capture wind energy is through the use of wind turbines, which consist of large blades mounted on a tower. When wind blows, it turns the blades of the turbine, which are connected to a generator that converts the rotational energy into electricity. Wind turbines are most efficient in locations with consistent and strong winds. 2. Types of wind energy systems. Onshore wind farms. Onshore wind farms are located on land, often in areas with high wind speeds, such as coastal regions, plains, or hilltops. These farms consist of numerous wind turbines installed in rows or clusters to capture the maximum amount of wind energy. Onshore wind farms are the most common and cost-effective type of wind energy systems. Advantages: lower initial costs compared to offshore wind farms. Easier to install and maintain. Widely distributed across various countries. Disadvantages: limited by land availability and local resistance due to aesthetic or noise concerns. Wind speeds may not be consistent in all areas. Offshore wind farms. Offshore wind farms are located in bodies of water, typically in shallow areas close to the coast. These wind farms have the advantage of stronger and more consistent winds compared to onshore installations. Offshore wind turbines are typically larger and more advanced to withstand harsh marine environments. Advantages: access to stronger, more consistent winds. No land use conflicts with residential or agricultural areas. Disadvantages: higher installation and maintenance costs due to the challenging environment. Requires specialized equipment and expertise. Vertical axis wind turbines (VAWTs). Unlike the more common horizontal axis wind turbines (HAWTs), VAWTs have blades that rotate around the vertical axis. These turbines can capture wind from any direction, making them more versatile in areas with fluctuating wind patterns. However, they are generally less efficient than HOTS and are still in the developmental stage for large-scale applications. Advantages: can operate in turbulent wind conditions. Easier to install in urban areas or locations with space constraints. Disadvantages: lower efficiency compared to HAWTs. Limited scalability for large-scale power generation. 3. Working principle of wind turbines. Wind turbines operate on the principle of converting kinetic energy of motion, from the wind into mechanical energy. This is achieved through the following steps. Wind interaction. When wind strikes the blades of the turbine, it exerts force on them, causing the blades to rotate. Rotor and shaft movement. The rotating blades are connected to a rotor, which is attached to a shaft. The movement of the rotor and shaft generates mechanical energy. Generator conversion. The mechanical energy from the rotating shaft is transferred to a generator, which converts it into electricity. The electricity is then sent to the power grid or used directly. Wind turbines are designed to operate at optimal wind speeds, typically between 12 and 25 miles per hour. At wind speeds below or above this range, the turbine may shut down to prevent damage or inefficient operation. 4. Advantages of wind energy. Renewable and sustainable. Wind energy is a renewable resource, meaning it will never run out as long as the wind continues to blow. Unlike fossil fuels, wind energy does not deplete natural resources, making it a sustainable energy source for future generations. Zero emissions. Wind energy is a clean source of power. It produces no greenhouse gas emissions during operation, contributing to the reduction of global carbon footprints and helping to mitigate climate change. Low op.